Perfect. Good morning and welcome to the SWITCHin Virtual Project Inauguration Day. I'm very pleased to have you all here, and uh, let us present the project a little bit, present ourselves. My name is Oskar, and I'm project manager for Stichting yEUth, the Dutch partner. And I'm pleased today to hold this session with you about our wonderful virtual exchange program, SWITCHin Virtual. Um, Maybe I would like to start with a few words about the consortium, about the partners. So I'll share my screen and show you who are our partners. So Atlantica is a private university. It's a private higher education based in Portugal that provides a range of academic programs and research opportunities. And the institution itself emphasizes on the quality and education in fields like engineering, management, health sciences, and technology. Our second partner is Integra Association Cultural, that was founded in 2004 in A Coruña, in Spain. And that was an initiative by young people with experience in the field of social inclusion and European cooperation, and they work in other European Erasmus Plus programs. And there is the University College Better, and this is a private institution located in Tirana, Albania, that was established in 2021, in 2011, and it focuses on integrating academic excellence with ethical values and aims to foster well-rounded development in its students. And then we have NGO Integrity, which is a non-governmental organization that is dedicated to promoting human rights, integrity, and community engagement, as they are based in Montenegro. The organization focuses on fostering social responsibility, supporting vulnerable groups, and encouraging youth participation in civic life. Stichting yEUth is a dynamic organization that is based in Leiden, in Netherlands, that actively engages in youth empowerment, education through diverse international projects, including the Erasmus project as well. Um, the organization enhances youth participation in communities and is engaged in international activities. We also have ECSA Kosova. Uh, they aim to foster European integration through academic and policy-oriented research, education, and dialogue. The organization itself organizes and focuses on enhancing and the understanding of European Union policies and promoting cooperation between Kosovo and European Union institutions, as well as other European Union countries, member states. I will give the floor right now to our partners that can say a little bit more about their respective institutions, because that was just a very short introduction. So whoever wants to go first, please feel free.
Okay, then I will do it. Thank you very much for the introduction. As you mentioned, I'm representing ECSA Kosova. My name is Desmond Chore. I'm also professor at University of Pristina. I think this project was very useful for all students, but also for the teaching staff, because they have chance to see another opportunities, new opportunities, to learn about modules, to learn about different new issues related to EU and other issues, but also it's very useful in order to create cooperation between organizations or students, and in the future to create any project for youth, and also to use the opportunities coming from the Erasmus, why not from Horizon in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I mean, I can add a little bit about Stichting Youth. I'm also working there. I think Oskar said most of the things, but yeah, we work a lot with youth empowerment and entrepreneurship and digital skills, I would say. And we create also some local meetings and we have international mobilities. Yes, I don't know if there's something that I can add, but I think you basically mentioned the things. So yeah, that's all.
Thank you very much, Monika. We are presenting our organization right now, so if any of the partners available here with us would like to add a little bit about your respective organization, please feel free to do it now.
If you'd like, I can add a little bit about our organization. My name is Elvir Lika. I'm representing NGO Integrity from Montenegro. To be honest, as you mentioned, we're a small non-governmental organization based in Montenegro. We mostly deal with projects involving human rights neglections or minority rights, mostly in Montenegro. We have done some international projects also. This is the Stichting Youth is one of them. Me personally, I have a background in food engineering, though with this program, I will be indulging the students and the participants as well with knowledge in regarding to some media literacy, critical thinking, and digital skills. We will also be mentioning a little bit about emerging technologies as well. Market. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. I think that then we can proceed. Anyone would like to add something? If not, then let's proceed, and I will just give the floor to Monika. Monika is the facilitator representing the Stichting Europe as well in this project, and she would like to tell us a little bit more about the upskilling labs that we are presenting here today. So the floor is yours.
Yes, hello. I didn't have opportunity to introduce myself, so hello everyone. My name is Monika, and I'm one of the trainers on Stichting Youth. And I would like to show you a little bit our website and talk a little bit about the courses which are available there. So I will share my screen and please let me know if everything is visible. So, do you see my screen?
Yes, you're good.
Yes,
Okay,
we see it.
perfect. So as you see, this is our website where we are providing the online courses. The website is SWITCHin Virtual Org. And I'm logged in, but if you are not logged in, usually here you have the button where is my name and surname. There is written login. When you click it, you just put your credentials and you will be able to see everything on the website. So I'm already logged in and I'm on the main page where I can see different courses. Here is the calendar, so it is also very easy to see when are the next sessions and which is the next session. So I will just show you, we are now in March. Today is 27th, so yesterday we had a session about intercultural dialogue, mediation and conflict resolutions, and the next session is on Tuesday, and it will be online practice about time management and adaptability. Here also you have a tutorial from our platform, which you can watch in your free time. And here there are course categories. So we also provide a different course, which is called Virtual Academy, but this one has finished already. And now we are providing the courses in upskilling clubs. So when you want to join our courses, you will click here, Upskilling Clubs. And let's wait when it will, yes. And here you can see different models. So we are having 5 models. And right now we are in the soft skills. So this is the first module. Let's open it. And here we can see the module 1, which is, say, soft skills. The first thing which we can see here is forum. Let me show you that. Yes, so this is our forum where everyone can add some new topics for the discussion. As you can see, we already have here some topics. So you can enter and you can read it. Here, for example, someone submitted homework. So yeah, no, there is a question. So also if you have some questions, you can add it here. If you would like to discuss some topic, there are some open discussions. For example, here, there was a first discussion about introduction. So some people already introduced themselves. So feel free to also join any discussion. You can read the topics and you can choose. So here was the first session. So usually you have some materials here, which you can read and watch before the session. And then here you have the link for Zoom. So if you click this link, you will be connected to the session. So as you see, it's already connecting me to the Zoom. So it's very easy. You just choose the date, you just click here, you read and watch the materials which are before the session, and then you click and you connect. You can also connect from the calendar, which I showed you on the homepage before. So even if you, for example, didn't have time to read anything, but you really want to join the session, you can also do it through calendar, and I think it's faster. There are also some documents after the session, which you can read, and also for the next session, and so on and so on. So you can see we have different topics and different materials. For active listening and assertiveness, we had 2 sessions. Then we moved to emotional intelligence. These are the sessions which are already finished, but the materials are always open. So even if you didn't have opportunity to join the session, you can still do the materials which are connected to the session. And we are really encouraging you to do that. Right now, we are in the topic of mediation and resolutions. So this week we had 2 meetings about the mediation and conflict resolution. So this is the fresh topic. And the next one, as I said, will be the time management and adaptability, which will be next week, 31st of March, from 7 to 8, always the same time. So very, very easy to remember. It's usually Tuesday and Thursday, but sometimes when there are some holidays, the time or the date might change, but everything you will see in the calendar and also here when we are moving, for example, if you join the session on March 31st and you want to know when is the next session, you just scroll down and you see, okay, next one is on April 1. And this is interesting because April 1st is not Tuesday and not Thursday. This is a specific date because of the holidays. So it will be done on Wednesday, but usually it's Tuesday and Thursday. And after the model, you will have a model 1 assessment. So this is the test which is required to finish if you would like to receive a certification, because from every module you can get a certificate. So when you finish all of the sessions, then you are going to the module 1, you do the assessment, and if everything is good, you will get your certificate. And this is exactly working same for all of the modules. So if I go to the next module, which will be interculturality, As you can see, we also have different topics. And we have materials before, we have Zoom link, materials after. And this is how it's looking like. I don't know if we should go in details to every session, or I think it's not needed because you can read it anytime. Like this materials before the session, you can do it anytime. Like if you know that you have 1 week free, you can already finish all of the materials before and then just join the sessions. So this is how it's working. What do you think, Oskar? Would you like me to say something more?
No, I think this is very well explained. I would like to add a few things myself, but
Yes.
just let me know if you want to add anything else.
Okay, so just I wanted to say, like, if you have any problems with the sessions, dates, you don't understand anything, you can always write to us on forum, and we will try to support you with that. And also, if you would like to receive some additional materials, you can also contact us because all of the trainers will have also possibility to see it. And also maybe what is good to mention is that each session can be facilitated by a different trainer. So it's also good to know that different trainers are using different methods and techniques. So also, if you joined some session and, for example, you didn't like it, it doesn't mean that the next session will be also like that, because this is why we have this like change of the trainers. So you can always have something different. There are some trainers which prefer to do the sessions more theoretically, and there are some which prefer to do it more practically. So this is also good to know. So if you like some trainer or you didn't like, please still stay with us because there will be still different topics and different methods. And I think it's very interesting. I also facilitated last year these sessions, and I think we had very good results, and also students really enjoyed it. So I recommend joining.
Thank you very much. I will share my screen as well, and I'll just say a few words more. So, regarding the upskilling labs, a few more things. So they are addressed to young people from higher education institutions and youth organizations, so also for youth workers and local bodies. So it means that everyone is invited to join it. There is no cost of joining. These services are provided completely for free as they're under the Erasmus Plus Fund for virtual exchanges. And even though, let's say that you're not part of the higher education system, you're not a student, you can still join it. If you're just interested in those topics, you can join them. If you're interested in just specific session, you can also do it just for the specific session. It doesn't mean that you need to follow all of the cycles. You're of course very invited to do so, but let's say if you're just interested in entrepreneurship, let's say, in that case, you can just join this session, this cycle, and it will be completely all right if you just do that. As Monika said, there are some sessions that are done, let's say, asynchronously, which means that you're doing it on your own. You're provided with all of the materials prepared by partners in advance. You can always go back to them. You can always ask about them, ask for some feedback, and so on. There's a forum. If you don't understand something, you're very free to ask specific partners or just generally on the group chat there. That you don't understand something, you would like to have some help, or maybe you would like to learn more about it. We will be very, very happy to answer your questions. And the main objective of the program is some kind of development of international skills, soft skills, with specific focus on intercultural and entrepreneurship skills. So we are talking about collaboration abilities, teamwork, problem solving, and European Union values. Maybe I'll just very quickly, I know that Monika said a few words already about it, but I would like to more specifically say what are the modules about, so what you can choose from. The first module that started already are the soft skills, and the module is divided into cycles. And these cycles are basically, let's say, classes. The first one will be about empathy, active listening, and assertiveness. The second one is about creativity and innovative thinking. And the third one is about mediation and the resolution of conflict. And the fourth one is about time management and adaptability. So you can check in the calendar of switchingvirtual.org when this session are located, and you can join them simply by registering there, and automatically you can be part of the community here. The second module is about interculturality. We will cover the social and political issues in the first cycle, intercultural values and in the global company. So it's more like understanding how the cultural diversity work or doesn't work in the workplace, how we can make it work better. Then we will cover the European values. So what are the principles, what are the objectives that define the identity of European Union? And I think this is very important and interesting, is that some of the partners are not yet part of the European Union. The other partners are already European Union members. But that's also another thing. If you are watching us, for example, from even different continents, you can still join us regardless of your origin. So there's basically no limitations where you're coming from. You can just join the session as you like. Then we will talk about global citizenship and responsible leadership. So what is ethics in leadership and what is the global responsibility in your company, in your community? And that would be it under the module 2. Then we have the third module about entrepreneurship. We will cover topics like teamwork, like collaboration and synergies in business, business models, and European projects. And I think that will give you a little bit of a grasp on what European projects are and what is Erasmus program in a second, because we'll have a specific panel discussion in a moment. A little bit more about employability, about job market, about competitiveness in the job market, and of course about innovation and entrepreneurial mindset as the fourth cycle of the third module. Later we will talk in the fourth module about media and digital skills, what is media literacy, what is critical thinking, how critical thinking is changing, how we can enhance it, how we can make it better. A few words about digital skills in the second session of the module 4. Very important topic about data protection and cybersecurity, emerging technologies and digital transformation, which is how world is very, very quickly changing year by year. Then we will cover the topic about finance and economic, what is financial literacy, global economic trends, decision-making processes and leadership, and also management and finance of European Union programs and other programs as well. So that was about Upskilling Labs, and I will just say just a few words about the part of the project that passed already, the Virtual Academy. So Virtual Academy was addressed to youth workers, educators, and professors, as well for teachers, and the objective was to train the target group through some kind of interactive forums and online intercultural meetings to improve dialogue and intercultural exchanges between the participants. So the training was based on the curriculum and the methodology that was developed by the partners of the consortium of this project, and they were developed as a part of this virtual academy. And I think this is all what I wanted to cover in this part of our meeting today. If there are any questions, I would be very happy to answer. and I think that we can continue with the next part. And the next part is a short discussion that we would cover the correlation between the AI and education. So the simple question, should we let students use ChatGPT? Should we implement it in our sessions, or should we ban it? That's a very open discussion prompt, and many universities, many institutions has their own opinion on that. We will see if we can provide any answer. And when I say we, I mean all of us. And then I'll just share my screen and we will watch this video together, and then we'll have a short discussion. Just please let me know if you hear it. All right, we are back then. And I would like to encourage you to have a very short discussion on that. I prepared a presentation with questions. If you want to, we can just have a feedback here, or we can just follow the questions. Monika, please, I see that you raised your hand. Feel free to speak.
Yes, so it was very interesting to hear that, and I completely agree with her. Because as an educator, I can also see how world is changing with the ChatGPT and artificial intelligence. And I also think that the whole education system should be changed and shifted because right now we are focusing mostly on the formal education, which with the time and in the future will not be needed, because why we need to give the students all of the formal information if they have very easy and free access to the artificial intelligence? They can just ask and the answer will arrive in 1 second. So like they don't need to know that many information as it was planned in the curriculum. This is what I think. And I also agree that on what we should focus is not to ban them from using artificial intelligence, but as she said, to teach them how to use it in a proper way, how to use it for good, and also to focus on practical skills. So as she said, like to do the group discussions, to do some presentations, something where the child can do something by their own, present, talk. So I completely agree, because I'm an educator from non-formal education. So I was boycotting formal education even before artificial intelligence arrived. So I personally think that this is the kind of education when our children are learning the most. So I think that these days and in the future, non-formal education will become more and more popular, and I'm very happy with that, because I can see in my daily work how non-formal education is changing uh, everything. How is it changing the person? How is it changing the behavior? How is it changing the understanding of the life and different aspects? So yes, I agree with her.
Yes, I had a very, very similar observation. Does anyone want to add something?
If I may, oh, please.
Yes.
Go for it.
Honestly, I just want to agree with Monika as well on a stance in regards to education. I also believe that it needs a kind of a restart, let's say, or an update at this point. In regards to AI being used at schools, I don't think it's as easy as just to say we need to ban AI from schools or ban AI from education. The problem is trying to get the students or the educators as well to use AI, whether it's ChatGPT or some other name that's going to come along the way in the future. The point is to have them use it as a tool and not a shortcut. Even the lady in the video, she did say kind of something I don't agree with, that AI can help with critical thinking and stuff like that. But the problem that comes with AI, I think it's over reliance in AI, which actually reduces critical thinking in students. Because if it's just copy paste, it's not like they're actually gonna learn anything. So having the students use these AI tools as tools, not as shortcuts, is kind of what we need to do,
Mhm.
so that they can still understand the process, not just a calculator.
Her video, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Her video was recorded around 2 years ago, so many things change, imagine. And she was supposing that one day Google will implement these tools within their services, but now it's already a reality. And regarding of what you're saying right now, I wonder, that's true. I strongly agree, but how we can make student things that we as adults cannot do? Like, how often does it happen that you Google something right now and you have the automatic answer from the Google system, Google AI companion as a first result? There's already a problem with the Google browsers and many other like search engines that they, of course, show you the recommended answers for the questions. But what we have in this very second is that we don't even look for these results quite often, but for the questions when we don't have time, we just read AI companion overview. So if we are already taken cash by this, how can we expect students they wouldn't do the same? This is a question probably without an answer, but I just wonder that this thing is already accessible to this extent that we cannot turn it off. We cannot use the old services because the old services don't function without it right now. And this is something that I'm afraid we will need to figure out as soon as possible, actually, uh, how to proceed with it. Any other comments?
Yes, maybe something short. I agree from a knowledge and information perspective that it's a good thing to incorporate it and to try to kind of change our education system into a different direction. I really agree with that. I think the only objection that I feel is that the environmental part, and that we are kind of advertising something that has a very big negative impact on a lot of things in our world. And I think it's also important to teach students that sometimes we have to work a little bit harder in order to make other people like have less of an impact on other people. So like sometimes maybe we need to look harder for certain information so that we don't impact the world or environment. But that's obviously something that we just need to incorporate in the way we talk about it. And also like biases that it can have or certain directions that it can kind of because I also notice it when I use it myself that sometimes I'm kind of gestured towards a certain opinion, which is okay, but I think it's something that we need to discuss a lot and that we need to explain to them that in the end it will always be the opinion that most people have and it will not always represent your opinion or the opinion of others. So that was my only concern.
Thank you very much. There are a few issues mentioned in this video. One of them was about this, it was mentioned just with one sentence, but I was just wondering about it, and that's why I wrote it here. About the thank you letters or thank you cards. Uh, h- how about the feeling? Would you feel somehow insulted if you receive something AI generated? Like, does it happen to you that you receive messages that are AI generated and let's say emails, maybe because we don't really receive cards, but maybe emails. Does it happen to you often? Or do you recognize already that the things are AI generated? Monika, you raise your hand.
So for sure, I can see it because I'm also project coordinator. and sometimes I'm looking for participants for Erasmus Plus projects. And what I have realized that most of the people are writing motivational letters through AI. And it's like so obvious, like you can understand it right away because I'm a project coordinator already for a few years. So I remember how it looked like before and how it's looking right now. So before it was like so personal, like you can really see the person, you can understand their perspective and so on. And now it's like very automatic, like everything is perfectly written, no mistakes, and it's not something what I'm looking for when I'm looking for a participant. So I would like to see the true person and not something generated. Like I understand that they want it to be correct because maybe their English is not perfect and so on, and maybe they even wrote very perfect prompt and the AI just improved the sentences, but still I would prefer it with the mistakes and written as with the style of this person than something like that, because also you cannot understand how much this person took these things from AI and how much is their personal opinion. So
Exactly. How much of this text is that person
exactly,
basically, right?
exactly. This you cannot understand.
I see a problem that, well, let's say that the applications are written by, general applications are written by AI. The requests for those applications are also written by people using AI. And then another AI system is trying to figure out who are the best candidates. And that may happen for, I don't know, for work application, let's say, that it happens quite often that the work application is fully written by AI, like the offer. People are sending their CVs, motivational letter written by AI, and then still AI system recognizes which one should be employed, which are not. We are in a very unusual circle right now.
Yeah, because I think also like the reason that people are using it for motivation letters and so on, I think it's also because of the formal education system, because it teaches us that it matters more that what you write is like spelled correctly and the structure is correct and like the facts are correct. Like that matters more than like how much time you put into it, if you really want it, like if you feel engaged in the material. Like I understand to a certain extent that like we need to learn how to be well-spoken people and we need to know how to like write a structure that a corporate like company might ask of us. But I think we put way too much emphasis on that part and way too little on like motivation and like investing time and yeah, I think that's also why we're using it mainly for those things.
Nick wants to add something, but I will just very quickly comment on that because I agree to some extent with you. Because in non-formal education, I also noticed that people are using ChatGPT even though they are talking about the topics they're interested in. It still happens. Monika, would you like to add something?
Yes, I wanted to add something a little bit connected what Luca said, and also to come back a little bit to the essays. So, like in formal education, something what I don't like are essays, because you always need to put some criteria, like how to understand if the essay is good or if the essay is not good. So this is also what Luca said, like the AI is doing like some general opinion, which most of the people have, and the same teachers are doing. Like when you are writing an essay, they are deciding what is good and what is not, even if you, as a person who is writing an essay, have different perspective, different answer. Also, usually during essays, you have like limited words, which for me is like completely like the stupidest idea, which can be like how you can limit the words of a person. Like we have different people, they have different characters, different opinions, and it shouldn't be generalized. And this is exactly what AI is doing as well. So it's generalizing, it's putting some criteria, it's putting everyone on the same level, and it shouldn't be like that. I just wanted to say this.
Thank you. Let's maybe follow the discussions towards the topic of banning ChatGPT in schools and general AI models in schools. Do you think that it really works this way? Like, definitely, that's one of the reasons why people want to use it, because they're told not to use it. But I wonder, what's your opinion on banning it in schools? Like, is ban an option? And if not a ban, what should be an option?
I mean, I agree that banning doesn't work. I'm also working in, like, as an educator in formal education, and I do really feel the difference that when something is being banned, or because in non-formal education we don't really have rules, we have agreements. Like, we make a common agreement and we talk together about like what is respectful behavior, how can we make sure that everyone is included. But in formal education, most of the time, even in like very liberal free schools, there is a set of rules of things that people just cannot do under any circumstances. And I don't think it works because it's like when you feel controlled, it makes you want to do something that you're not allowed to do, which makes sense also. And that's also, I think, a good thing that we have as humans, that we feel when we're being controlled and it makes us want to like break free. So I think banning is a very bad idea. And I think agreeing to use it under certain circumstances for certain things is much better, but it needs to come also from the students themselves. Like, they need to mention why it's important sometimes to use it and sometimes not. And it shouldn't be the teacher saying you cannot use it for this, I think.
Mhm. I very much agree with you. And this is something that I don't really think it was mentioned in the video itself, but we cannot pretend that this technology doesn't exist. Because I know that this is some kind of behavior in schools when we say we don't use technology here, this is a technology-free space. But then the technology is everywhere when you leave the school. So yes, exactly as you're saying, I very much agree. There was also a question um, about how much of the generated text is your text. And what do you think? How would you feel if you find out that the teacher or a professor used AI to write your final exam or grade your work to save themselves hours of time? That's the first part of the questions.
I think it depends on like our agreement together, right? Like as Luca said, it's good to talk with students, like we do in non-formal education, to discuss, and instead of like banning it, to just decide like in which intents we can use it and when not. So I think like if students will have a possibility to use it in some situations, then it can apply also to the teachers in some situations. But also, I think it should be communicated before. And also, it depends, it will not apply to every work, right? It will not apply to everything. Like, depends on what is the work and how the grading is looking like. So it depends, because if it's about correcting the mistakes, like in Polish language, we have a lot of different letters, and sometimes we have this dictando, I don't know in in English, uh, some
Yeah, it's
written
like
text with correct using letters. And this one, I think teacher could do with AI, because like it will save hours of work, as it said, and it's just correcting the letters. So from like R Z to Z
yes,
with
of
dot.
course. It's about the
Yes.
spelling, it's about correct spelling in
Spelling.
Polish.
So why not? Why not? Because sometimes teachers are also making the mistakes, and computer will see all of these words, so he will be even more accurate than a child. So it
Mhm.
depends about the agreement together between teacher and students.
All right, this is about some situation where we have the awareness on that. But I think this question is more about what would happen if you find it out. Like you send something to be graded and you see that your teacher sends you a copy paste from ChatGPT.
I mean, I think for me, it's bigger than that. I mean, I also don't agree with exams in general, like written exams. I mean, I agree
Okay.
that we should be graded, like we should be evaluated, obviously, but I don't agree that our knowledge should be tested in a way that could be corrected by ChatGPT, because then it means that there's, I don't know, there's nothing personal there, or there's no space for like either like a presentation or a poster or something that she was also mentioning in the video. Like I think those are better methods to kind of grade than an exam that is written on paper. But I think that's something that people have different opinions on. But if I found out, I would be very upset. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Because
can
it's
imagine.
also, I think, a difference. Like they're being paid to do this.
Oh yeah.
So if you're being paid and I'm a student and I'm putting a lot of work in an exam without being paid, obviously, and you're using ChatGPT to grade it, I would feel a little strange because you get paid for those hours. And I know that there are a lot of problems in education with payments. I believe me, I know. But like as a student, I think it would feel a little weird if that happened.
I felt that it might be also a kind of lesson about about using AI in schools. Let's say that if there is an agreement of using AI in school, that you should not use it for essays, and then you receive as a teacher, you receive an essay. I think that it would be a nice lesson to show what's wrong with that by grading using AI and making it very explicit. Like let's say that your grade and on start your grading with ChatGPT said semicolon, and then you just give it, and then that's a space for discussion. But again, just to give a feedback as a lesson, that's not okay, and let's revise it why it's not okay. But again, we are entering a little bit non-formal education system, because in formal education, I believe that uh, it would be okay to use it only because the formal education system is built like this, that is impersonal. And that's one of the drawbacks of the formal education system. I don't know if you follow what I mean by this. That in the system that we have right now, that is within the formal education, you can be graded this way because there are already criteria, and this criteria can be very easily followed by AI models. But if it's ethical, I don't really think so. Um, okay, this is what we just discussed about how much of the work is your work. And these are the same questions. Well, I think this is much more advanced, so maybe I will just skip this question because that's for another discussion during the Upskilling labs, I guess. And then now, please let me know if we need a break or we can continue, because what we have right now, I think that we would just continue with our EU opportunities presentation. So if you do not mind, I'll just continue.
For me, it's okay to continue. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'll just open the presentation. Hmm. You should see my video right now. All right. So, I would like to present you to some of many, many Erasmus Plus opportunities about the Erasmus funding in general, because it's much bigger than many may think. So Erasmus program in most of the cases is connected in our minds with the possibility of student exchange as a form of higher education system. When you travel from one university to another in another state, and you study there for at least one semester. Of course, apart from that, there is Erasmus traineeship program when you can uh, do your internship, your traineeship abroad. And this is also connected to the fact that you're a student or recent graduate. But apart from that, there is much more. And when I mean much more than this, uh, there is a lot of non-formal education options. And this is what many institutions and non-government organizations are organizing. And these are, let's say, youth exchanges and training courses. So youth exchange is mobility that lasts between 5 to 21 days, and it's open to people between the age of 13 to 30. But these programs have more specific criteria. Let's say that some of them are just for people from 18 to 25 and so on. But it's in general, it's just, let's say, within this range between 13 and 30 years old. And youth exchanges are this kind of mobilities that are focused on non-formal education connected to a very various project. It might be about sport, it might be about ecology, about digital skills, about European values, and so on. They're fully paid by the program, and you can travel to another country for those days and stay with people around your age to learn together using non-formal education methods. Similarly, the training courses, but then in training courses, there's no age limit because these are made mostly for youth workers and trainers, but they work very similar way that all of the costs are covered by the program. So you can travel to another country and you can learn with professional trainers during the programs. There are also youth participation activities. These projects last up to 24 months, and these are the activities that can be held locally, and there might include some mobilities, let's say, to visit some institutions abroad. There is a program Discovery EU for people who are 18. If you're 18 and you're just finishing your school, you can apply for this kind of travel pass Discovery EU that allows you to visit many European countries. You can make a route and visit them. And this is like a promotional program of European Union member states. There's Erasmus for young entrepreneurs, and this program allows you to broaden your idea of your business that you have in your mind. So let's say that you're building a business plan and you would like to, let's say, open a non-government organization. But because this is a big thing to do, you would like to first check how is it to work for a non-government organization. And then you can apply thanks to this program. When you have a business plan ready and so on, you can go for a few months to the owner of the business, and using the let's say the exchange of ideas with that person, you can co-work with them and learn about the business there with hands-on activities. So later, when you're back to your country, you can open such business yourself. Although you don't have obligation to do that, but you're very encouraged to do so. Training courses, I already mentioned them. And then there's also the whole European Solidarity Corps, which creates the opportunities for young people to engage in all of kinds of solidarity activities that are abroad of your country in the projects that benefits communities. This can be, let's say, a short term for a few months, or long term, even up to 12 months volunteering program that can be organized in European or non-European Union member states. It can be, again, ecological sport program, It can be about local farms, it can be about learning English or teaching English and so on. You can find such information on the website of the program. So you can volunteer abroad, you can do it solo, you can also do it in a team. You can also set up your own project in that community when you travel there. And that's what you can do as a volunteer. There's also humanitarian aid volunteering, a special form of volunteering program that can be organized very far away from Europe. It can be organized in countries from different continents, and it's open to people up to 35 years old.
For example, India.
For example, India, Monika, who is with us, is right now in the humanitarian aid volunteering program in India already for a few months. Um, and and she's volunteering there. I mentioned a little bit about Discovery EU. This is an action of the Erasmus Plus program, and it offers opportunity to people around like in the age of 18 to explore Europe's diversity, to learn about the cultural heritage and history, and connect with people from.
Also, maybe it's good to mention that in this there is Discovery EU and Discovery EU Inclusion. And
Yes, of course.
from 2025, they have changed the age, and in the inclusion program, it's now from 18 to 21. So it's also nice that if someone missed it when he was 18, he can still join till the age of 21. So this is maybe good to mention.
Thank you very much. That's very good to mention indeed, because Discovery EU and Discovery EU Inclusions are basically the same program but with different funding. Discovery EU, let's say this is something that you traveled yourself. You're receiving a discount card for with a lot of discounts for accommodation, local events, sports, and cultural events, as also, of course, for your travel. But with Discovery EU Inclusion, you are also receiving as a group the budget for accommodation. I already said a few words about Erasmus for young entrepreneurs. You are applying for this program. Maybe it's important to mention in your own country where you live. You're finding the intermediate organization, which is called IO. And this organization is helping you to set up the whole program, sign the agreements, and so on. And then you're receiving also a grant, depending on the country where you're going to, a grant and that helps you sustain yourself abroad. And there is Erasmus Mundus, but I think that we will cover the topic of Erasmus Mundus and because it's a higher education program during our upskilling lab sessions very, very soon. If you have any questions, we would be very happy to answer them in the forums. So please feel free to join switchinvirtual.org and study there with us, learn there with us about EU opportunities, EU values, and all of the bunch of topics that we covered today.